Rockstars, Eric Andreas, your guitar sage here. How the heck are you doing today? Today, friends, we're going to be talking about how to play guitar and sing at the same time. Today is part 2. Tomorrow will be, no, today's part 1. That's usually how you do it. And then tomorrow will be part 2. And literally what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to play guitar and sing at the same time. This, friends, I know some of you are ready. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I've tried this before, Eric, can't do it. Okay, cool. Trust me when I say that this is 100% a learned skill, just like 99.9% of everything that happens in life. You know, when you're a little kid, you couldn't even poop in the right place or pee in the right place. You had a hard time walking. You had a hard time talking. Now look at you, big stuff. Now you're doing all 3 of those pretty darn good. So what makes us think that playing guitar and singing, something that's a much higher level of doing things as opposed to walking and talking and that sort of thing, what makes us think that that's not a learned skill when these basic skills are learned, right? So indeed, let that be the catalyst, if you will, to stick around and to learn what it is that we're going to be doing today. Okay? So part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow. Let's take care of some business here really quickly. If you haven't already, you should have clicked on the link that's in the description of this video. Why? Because I've got a PDF for you, and this is content that you've never seen before. I literally wrote this up just the other day. So it's really important because you have to understand the psychology behind this, okay? And I talk about psychology behind playing guitar all the time. So make sure you download that PDF. Go there right now. Click on the link that's in the description of the video. Get that. I'm going to wait a minute here and I'm going to tell you about what else we're going to be doing. But I'm stalling. I'm waiting for you to download that PDF. It's really important. You got to get inside the psychology of this stuff for you to even have a chance at doing it, honestly, okay? All right, so the way we do this, if you've never joined us for one of these live broadcasts, is that I teach for somewhere around 20 to 40 minutes. I teach the lesson, and then I get straight into your questions. I pull questions from Facebook. I pull questions from YouTube. We go back and forth. We have a blast, and as always, we love giving stuff away. So we have a lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System for someone who shares this video. So whether you're sharing on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever, however you can share it, okay? And then what we do afterwards is we pick a winner. So we've been doing this since the beginning of time. We've given away literally, you ready for this? Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of lifetime memberships to the Unstoppable Guitar System. Hundreds of thousands, okay? With that being said, we're going to give another one away here, okay? So, and we do this all the time. We'll do it tomorrow. So make sure that you share this, okay, for your chance to win. What else? Anything else? This lovely guitar that you're like, wow, I really love that Eric played Tubular Bells by Mike Oldfield on that guitar. Yeah, this is a beautiful guitar, Eric. You're right, it is, friends. This is an American-made Fender Telecaster. It says right on the back here, Corona, California. Mint condition, comes with the case, comes with a bunch of other stuff, lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System. We'll be giving away over $6,000 worth of goodies away this Saturday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I'll be showing you how to build a solid foundation in any genre of guitar, whether you're a day one newbie or a seasoned veteran. Okay, so join us this Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. And in fact, you're going, let me see if we have, yeah, we've got a link for this right on the first page of the PDF, okay? Right on the first page. And I'm going to show you this PDF in just one moment because Mike, one of my ninjas in here, created this PDF for you guys. Assembles it all. I wouldn't know how to do that. You'd get like handwritten notes and you wouldn't be able to read it. So it's really good that we've got Mike on board, okay? So he's got a link right in there. And in fact, here, let's do this really quickly. I'm going to show you what's going on here in this PDF. Very, very important. I know some of you are going to say, yeah, I know. You got the dollar link and all that stuff. Guess what? Nope. Don't have the dollar link anymore. You know why? Because it went away, away. Why? Because that's what happens. I know I tell you guys to do stuff a lot, and I know you said some of you say, whatever, it'll always be there. It ain't. In fact, it's not there anymore. So we're phasing out the whole dollar link, the one where you get to test drive the whole UGS for a month. Yeah, we're doing away with that because we change things up here all the time. So if you didn't take advantage of that at the time, you might want to take advantage of other stuff that I have for you because there's typically some sort of time limit on it. So here we are at the first page here. You're going to see you can always get into the free beginner series, YourGuitarSage.com/30. But here's where you're going to sign up for the live stuff. I'm still stalling, by the way, waiting for you to download the PDF. You should be doing that on Facebook and YouTube. Now, I'm not going to read this over with you, but I will tell you that this information that I put in here is really, 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 really important. Here's why. And I'll pull a couple things from this. For instance, a jigsaw puzzle before you start it. A jigsaw puzzle of 1,000 pieces is pretty daunting. May even seem impossible for some, but obviously it's not impossible because it was all put together when they built it and then they bunched it all up and stuck it in a box, okay, for you to assemble. And if we wanted to assemble this jigsaw puzzle, we would just have to find 2 pieces that went together. That would be the start of it, okay? And then another 998 steps of adding these other little pieces together, okay? So, make sense? So, with that being said, if we break down this idea of playing guitar and singing at the same time, we can do this. We can put this together. So, I'm going to speak specifically to those that don't believe this can be done. Look at me in my ocular sockets right now for a moment. I promise you that there's nothing that's keeping you back from doing this except for you and maybe a plan. And I'm giving you the plan today, okay? So I'm going to go over this with you today and tomorrow. I'm going to show you, today we're going to be talking about, well, I'll tell you in a minute, just a moment. So read this over on your own, okay? Because this is chock full of psychology. And when you get done reading this, I promise you it will unlock a key for you that you're going to say, Dear Lord, Eric knows what he's talking about. I'm going to listen to him. Okay, so let's talk about this. Really, when it comes to singing or playing guitar and singing at the same time, we're talking about 2 big skills, okay? Just like the juggling unicyclist on a tightrope learned to juggle separately, learned to ride a unicycle separately, and learned to walk on a tightrope separately, then slowly start bringing these things together. To not insult those who can play guitar and sing at the same time, so it's not to insult them, we need to go through the same route, okay? We need to go through the gauntlet. We need to do the same steps. Otherwise, it'd be really insulting to those who have gone through all that work to assume that they were born that way, born into some musical family, or all the other nonsense excuses that people use all the time to assume that they can't do something because they weren't born into something. That is complete poppycock. It's not true. And if you like to believe lies, then do believe that. Otherwise, it's complete crap. So I'm going to show you why this is complete crap today. And here are the 2 big skills that we need to know. Just like the juggling unicyclist, we've got 2 skills that we need to learn. We need to get good at them both separately, and then we need to bring them together. So here, guitar skills are to know the chords in a song. Okay, if you have a song that's, let's get a different tone here. I would like that. Okay, so, okay, here we go. Whoa. Okay, so we've got the chords in a song. Let's say the chords are C, A minor, F, and G. If we don't have those chords memorized, if we can't finger those chords perfectly, if we're stumbling over them, etc., do you think that adding a strum would help or hinder things? What happens if we add transitions, moving from chord to chord? Do you think that would add? Do you think that would help it, or do you think that would make it harder? Or what happens if we were strumming and doing the chord transitions? What happens if we were singing on top of that? The melody, the whole 9 yards. Obviously, as we start stacking things, it becomes more complicated. Let me break this down for you very simply. We have a conscious brain, we have a subconscious brain. You can think about it like your computer having instant access memory, which is like your RAM. Okay, when you go buy a phone and it has blank memory on it, 512 or whatever. That's memory that's instantly accessible, okay, or your computer. If you've got 32 gig in it, then that is the memory that's instantly accessible, okay? You can think about that as your conscious brain. Your subconscious brain, you can think about as your hard drive. It's information that's in there. You can store a lot of stuff in there. In fact, I bet you right now if I said, can you sing Happy Birthday? I bet you could pull that out of that old hard drive head of yours and you could sing it without any sort of practice right now, right? Because that's information that's been stored in there, or the ABCs, or if I asked you how to count to 1 to 100, you're going to be able to immediately access that information. Why? Because you stored it in there a long time ago, and they pounded it into your head over many, many years as a child, what those ABCs are. So that's been so pushed into your conscious brain that your subconscious says, I got this. You can think about other stuff, like where you're going to go get your latte today and stuff like that. That's our conscious brain. When we're driving down the road and someone cuts in front of us and we steer out of the way right away, that's our conscious brain. It's instant access, okay? Not really memory. It's more just like instant access, super-powered, very conscious, very focused type stuff, okay? Now, with that being said, you can only store so much in there. This guy pulling out in front of you, you can only do something there for one moment. You can't be doing a bunch of other stuff. You can only access that moment, okay? Whereas, if you say we're riding a bike, okay, and talking on the phone at the same time, the fact that you had ridden a bike years before that and really put that into your conscious brain so much that it ended up in your subconscious, you can ride a bike and talk on the phone at the same time. So you're not riding the bike, your subconscious is doing this, you're talking on the phone, someone asks you a question of something that you might have to think about. What's 24 times 32? Well, I'd have to think about that consciously. It's not just stored in my brain like 12 times 12 is 144. I could just spew that out. Okay, that's stored in subconscious. 12 times 32 may not be, so I'm going to have to think about that for a moment. That's my conscious brain. I'm engaging that. Now, Eric, why are you going off on this big dissertation? Because it has everything to do with whether you will be successful at singing or playing guitar at the same time, okay? Because if you don't understand this, you're not going to know how to practice it. And if you don't practice it, you ain't going to do it, okay? It's very, very simple math. So with that being said, we have some guitar skills that we need to learn. And what we're doing all the while is we're drilling this stuff into our subconscious. You can see that so we got singing skills or guitar skills, then we have singing skills. We need to know the melody. We need to know the lyrics. We need to know the phrasing. If we are stumbling over lyrics or we're looking at lyrics on a page, on stage, because we didn't memorize those lyrics, well, we're using up all of that conscious brain power. So if a microphone stand falls over or something else that you have to consciously be in the moment of, you just sucked that energy away because you're looking at this page, or now that you're looking at the microphone stand that fell, now you're messed up, okay? So what I can tell you is the more that all of these skills are imprinted into your subconscious, the better you're going to be at it, okay? When you see your favorite artist performing, doing all these things the way that I'm talking about, it's because they've done it so many times that it's imprinted into their brains, okay? You do this, you know this already, maybe not consciously, as I'm talking about here, but you know this. You do it all day long. There's ways that you access your conscious brain, ways that you access your subconscious brain, okay? So we need to know those skills. And these are the things that we're going to be talking about today. Mainly we're going to be talking about the guitar skills today. We're going to mention the singing. Actually, I tell you what, we're probably going to hit them all. And then we're going to be bringing them all together tomorrow. That would be a better plan, okay? Okay, good. So that's the PDF that you should have downloaded already because it's really important that you know this stuff. So let's talk about it. All right, so we mentioned a little bit here. If we don't know the chords, then we're going to have an issue with it. So the best thing for you to be able to feel the momentum going forward of, yes, I am going to play guitar and sing at the same time, is for you to have the different assets set up. We have guitar skills, we've got singing skills. Under guitar skills, we have strumming, knowing the chords, going from chord to chord, etc. With singing, we have knowing the lyrics, knowing the melody, knowing the phrasing, that sort of thing. Okay? We have to think about whatever we can't understand with our conscious brain. Okay, if someone starts talking about the fourth dimension to you, 3 dimensions we can understand. Actually, I can understand a 4th dimension. A fifth dimension I don't quite get. And beyond that, I don't quite get. I get that there's 3-dimensional things. But if someone's showing a concept to you that you don't quite understand, it's going to take a lot of conscious brain power. Okay? So just remember that. And there's not a lot there in the beginning. Okay? We can grow this. But we've got to store stuff in that subconscious brain. That's why we have to disassemble it. Okay, so if I say, okay, we're going to play, Hallelujah. Heard there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Now, you might say, well, Eric, I can't do that. Now, I know you can't do it right now. Guess what? I couldn't do it either. And in fact, there was a time where I couldn't fingerpick. And there was a time where I couldn't play the chords. And if I go back further than that, there was a time that I had never touched the guitar neck. If you go back further than that, there was a time that I couldn't walk or talk or pee in a potty. So what I'm telling you is this. We're on a continuum. And all these great things that you've learned, like making pee-pee in the potty, like talking, and like doing all these great things, right, that are very helpful in society, you're just at a different place. So you've come up to here, now you're like, okay, I want to learn how to play guitar and sing at the same time. You're on a continuum. You can do this, okay? It's the same stuff, same parts of the brain. So we got to know the chords. So what I'm saying is, you got a song, learn the chords first. Do this step by step. In fact, I tell you what, I'm going to bring that up real quick, okay, so you can see what we're talking about here. So we're going to learn the chords of the song first. Very simple. Just learn them, okay? Take however long it takes, okay? This is not a race. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, okay? Then we got to learn the strumming pattern. And in this case here, it's a finger picking pattern. So I might just go like... Now, this is the part that people mess up, is they try to do too much at once. So they're doing the finger picking pattern, and they're like, I kind of have it now. And then they start just throwing stuff at it right away. Now, kind of got it ain't got it, okay? Think about someone babysitting your kid, okay? Or babysitting your guitar, babysitting your money. If they seem like they don't got it, they probably don't got it. Okay, well, this is a joke between me and my wife when we go someplace and somebody says, I got it, the waiter or waitress or whatever, and they don't got it. You can tell they don't got it. So important that you really do get it. So a strumming pattern, a picking pattern, whatever, make sure you have it down so down pat that you don't even have to think about it. That's how you know it's in your subconscious. If you have to sit there and struggle with it and consciously think about it, it ain't there. You ain't got it, okay? No matter how many finisher medals you have, you ain't got it, okay? You got to go through all the way, okay? All right. Boy, I'm kind of crunchy this morning, aren't I? Sorry. No, salty, crunchy, whatever. All right, so strumming pattern. You got to know the strumming pattern. You got to know the finger picking pattern. Chord transitions. If we know our chords, if we know the strumming pattern, the finger picking pattern, whatever, but we can't move from chord to chord, well, then we got a problem, don't we? Because adding lyrics and singing on top of it's not going to make it easier. Think about a juggler. If you're having a problem juggling 3 balls, is adding a 4th going to help? No. You know that. So adding something else on top of it won't help. It's going to frustrate you and make you think, which is a lie, it's going to make you think that you can't do this. It's a total lie. Don't lie to yourself. It's really bad, because if you're lying to yourself, who else are you lying to? Don't lie to yourself. Make sure you're being truthful with yourself, okay? Don't let your emotions override the facts, okay? Okay, so you got to get your chord transitions down. Strumming, okay, we talked about that. So strumming with the chord transitions. So in this case here, what we're doing is we're starting to bring some stuff together here. In this PDF, I talk about the juggling unicyclist on a tightrope, okay? 3 skills: juggling, unicycle, tightrope. You are not going to be able to juggle, or you're not going to be able to ride a unicycle on a tightrope. Wow, I have a hole in my shirt. Look at that. Huh. Just figured that out. It's pretty cool. So you're not going to be able to unicycle across the tightrope if you can't walk on that tightrope first. Does that make sense? Sure it does, right? You got to to chill out first before you can just go ride a unicycle across a tightrope. So that's why strumming and chord transitions, as you see them together here, we learn strumming separately, we learn chord transitions separately. Here's the rule, and whenever you're frustrated during this process, it means you're doing too much or trying to do this too fast. No amount of ego in the world is going to help you get to your goal, okay? At least when it comes to guitar. The only thing that's going to help you is practice, okay? No amount of ego will get you there. No amount of wishful thinking or hope or prayer is going to get you there. It has to do with practice. That stuff may help, okay? But it's not going to get you there without the practice, okay? So then we're going to do these things separately, singing, okay? If you can't sing the song without playing guitar, if you're, whatever the song is, hallelujah here, if you can't sing along with the singer to the song and know the lyrics and know everything, then chances are you're not going to be able to just pick up the guitar and do this because you're adding yet something else. So what I suggest is listening to the backing track of the song. Don't listen with the singer because that singer's constantly prompting you with the lyrics and the melody. So you got to be out on your own a little bit. And the only way to do that is to be out on your own. The only way to know that you can do it is to be alone, okay? There's a lot of life skills here, right? So we got to learn that melody. We have to know the lyrics by heart. If you don't know the lyrics, adding the guitar is not going to help. Same thing with the phrasing. Okay, so you get the basic idea here of what it is that we're trying to do. We have all of these different assets, and until we knock each one of them out individually, adding them together is not going to help. But then, once we do have the pieces all individual, we need to start kind of bringing them closer to each other, doing 2 different things at the same time, then 3 different things, and 4 different things, etc. It's the only way to do it is to do it, right? But we need to gauge our frustration and our boredom. So we want to be somewhere in between boredom and frustration. We don't want to be bored. We don't want to be frustrated. We want to be challenged, and we want to be moving forward. Okay? We don't want to be getting bored. So the way to do this is to be constantly adding things. But chances are, if you're like 99.9% of the rest of the people in the world, you're going to try to add too much. So better to be bored than to try to do too much here, because again, it's not about the ego. That's not going to get you there. It's about results, okay? So what you're going to do, and let's go here. What you're going to do now is once you have these different pieces in place, you're going to start adding some things. So, and you can do it any way that you want to do it. What really matters here is, number one, do you see the progress? And are you staying in the game? Like, are you getting frustrated or bored? You don't want to get either one of those. You'll get a little bit frustrated, and that's how you know when to slow it down or break it down. I talk about this concept all the time. If I'm trying to play a song very quickly that I can't play very quickly, I need to play it slowly, okay? There's a song that I'm learning right now where the guitar part's very, very fast, and I'm playing the part slowly. The slow part goes like this. That's the slow part. Yeah. And I'm playing it slow, very slow, compared to what it actually is. Because I can't play that fast yet. At least this song I can't, okay? It has everything to do with practice. Just pound that into your head. Every single player that you see doing what they're doing, the only reason they got that way is through practice. The only reason. I know it's so hard to believe, but it's the only reason. That's good news for people who want to practice, because that means the sky is the limit. There is no stopping them, okay? So I can't play this song up to speed yet, so I play it at the speed that I can play. You want to think about it like focusing in with a microscope, like drilling down. You're going to see more detail, okay? So slowing it down or breaking it down, anytime you can do that, you're going to be using the tools that the pros use in order to do all of this stuff we're talking about, from recording process to singing and playing guitar at the same time, etc., etc. Okay, so then what we need to do is we need to bring a couple of these things together. So let's say we've got our chords and we've got the strumming part down. Okay, well now let's put the chords together with the strumming. So what I might do is I might just strum the chords. So if the If the song is Hallelujah, we said, by, I love the Rufus Wainwright version, the best, but been done a million times. But let's say the song goes, and we're listening to that. Okay, we're not playing that yet. But we know the chords are C, A minor, C, A minor. We know that part. And we know the picking pattern. You know? Now, we may not be able to do the picking pattern and the transitions at the same time. That may be too far. So then you got to back it up. This is where you need to be your own teacher, and you need to say, how can I back this? How can I pull this back a little bit? It's too difficult right now. So what I might do is I might just go and just work with that chord. And then work with the A minor by itself. It's already starting to sound more like the song. Okay, so I would just do that over and over again. And then I might do 4 measures apiece per song, so it gives me more time to grab that chord. Then I might do 2 measures per chord. Then 1 measure per chord. So there's so many ways to break this down and to pull it together, okay? So really, the way you do this is up to you, but these are suggestions, and you could break it down even further. The way to know when to break it down is if you're getting too frustrated. The way you know to speed it up is if you're getting too bored. So there's a quan, there's a special place to be where you're not bored, you're not overwhelmed and frustrated, you're challenged, you're motivated, you're moving forward, you're learning, you can feel that progression. You're like, I couldn't do all those chords before. Yay, I'm doing that. I see this all the time. Every morning I wake up to about 40 comments inside the Unstoppable Guitar System, 50 comments per day now, or 365, both those programs, where people are like, hey, I couldn't do this, now I'm doing it, and just like elation, right? And that's why I love teaching so much. It's great to feel that through the students again. So, however you break this down is how you break it down, but here are lots of suggestions for you inside of this PDF. Then, and I'll tell you what, I think we're gonna stop there for some questions. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna stop there for some questions. We're gonna save some more for tomorrow. So basically today what we talked about is some of the guitar parts, what the different assets that we need to do guitar and singing wise, but we need to bring this stuff together. So what we'll do tomorrow is after we talk, we'll do a brief overview of this, very brief overview today or tomorrow, and then we're going to get into actually doing a song, and I'll show you how I tear it down. Okay? All right, so let's get into some questions though in the interim. Okay? In the meanwhile here. And here's the deal. For those of you that haven't already, share this right now because, why? For your chance to win a lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System. We do this all the time. It's a lot of fun. You should join in on that fun. Okay? So I'm going to start here on Facebook, and then I'll bump over to YouTube. Okay? Cool. Okay. And I'm only looking for those that have a question mark because there's lots and lots of comments, and I know you guys talk amongst yourselves and stuff. So I'm only going to address those with question marks. Cool? All right. I did a gig on Sunday night, by the way, and I literally wore that T-Rex outfit on stage, and it was so fun. It was really cool. I tell you what, yeah, we'll put that dinosaur, we'll put that clip up again for those of you that haven't seen it. We'll put that up at the end. I'll see if the guys can do that. Okay, no questions here on Facebook. It's looking like, hold on. I'm still going through. Man, we got lots of folks on Facebook today. Oh, I know why. Because it's Halloween, right? What's up, Rick Fuqua? Rick, I know a gal here in Franklin, Tennessee, and her name is Sarah Fuqua. You guys have to You guys have to be related, right? Fuqua. That's like salty. Yeah, that's the word. Crunchy. I don't know. Oh, okay. Crunchy is something else. Okay. Why do you have my guitar? John is saying. John, I like John's attitude. He's very hopeful. He knows that I'm giving this away this Saturday. So join us for that live broadcast, YourGuitarSage.com/live, or the link is in the PDF I'm giving you today. So download that PDF right now while I start going over to YouTube, and we'll start getting to some questions there. All right, let's do it. Okay. Wow, tons of people in the chat today, so it is moving quick. Okay. Which foot should we tap? You tap whatever foot you want, Amar. Really, tap whatever foot you want. I'm right-handed, and I tap my right foot. Probably not a coincidence. But do whatever's comfortable for you. Yes, Bud Online 2012. This can be used for any instrument. Exactly what I'm talking about today. This is all about understanding what it is that you're doing and how you can break it down. Really, that's the lesson, is what are you doing? How can you break it down? So if you're playing piano, you could do the same thing. What can I do to break the piano playing down to where I can learn this stuff, make sure I'm moving forward, get the chords down, get the rhythm down, etc., etc. Okay, get the singing down, start bringing these assets together. Okay. Michael's on YouTube is saying, should I be practicing standing up more than sitting? Michael, it depends on how you're going to be performing. If you're going to be standing up while performing, you need to practice standing up as well. Okay, otherwise it'll creep up on you, and that day you stand up, everything's going to feel differently. Okay, so do both. Wolfgang, do you do this every day? Wolfgang, I play guitar and teach every day, but at the live broadcasts we are now doing 8, 9, 10. We're doing 11 a month, a minimum of 11 a month. We do 2 on Wednesday, so we do 1 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday every week. That's times 4, that's 8. And then we do 2 for the Unstoppable Guitar System. Those are private. Those are for folks that are inside the Unstoppable Guitar System. And then we do one big one. We do giveaways and all that stuff. That's what's happening this Saturday. We'll be giving away over $6,000 worth of goodies. I'll be teaching you how to build a solid foundation in any genre of guitar, whether you're a day one newbie or a veteran. Okay. Wouldn't it be easier if people who actually had a question put the question mark at the beginning of their questions? That would work too, Gary, and some folks do that. Thank you for doing that. Great, great. That's smart. Yes, thank you. Yeah, do that if you can. Love from India. Any particular exercises to master rhythm? Yeah, the only way to master rhythm is to practice mastering rhythm, okay? Is to practice strumming, okay? And so that's why I provide that video specifically with all the exercises. There's a PDF with a bunch of exercises for you, walk you step by step through understanding how to play rhythm, strumming, that sort of thing. It's in the free course, which is in the top of the PDF. You're going to see a link there. It says something about a free course. That's where you want to go. James is saying, are learning modes important? James, learning modes are important if you love jazz and if you're going to do jazz improvisation. For the most part, that's 99% of the reason why you would want to know modes. I've known modes since I was a very young player and truly have not used that information much at all in 30-something years. And I play lots of different genres of guitar, but there's just different ways of thinking about it. In my opinion, the modes, the way people think that knowing the modes is going to help them is just pretty nonsense. It's not to say that modes don't exist and that they're useful and helpful for musical applications and that sort of thing, but the way people think about them a lot of times, it's just, in my opinion, it just doesn't make sense. It makes mathematical sense, but it's a long way around doing something, a long way around. For example, James, I tell this story a lot, that I saw a jazz band. It was here in Nashville, and I watched the guy playing, and afterwards I was like, dude, you got to tell me, like, you must have like a vast knowledge of modal theory and this, that, and the other thing. And he goes, no, I don't know anything about music theory. I don't know anything about modes. I don't know any scales. So basically what he did is he used his ear, but he would take the shape of a chord, and that's what he would play around. Technically, he was playing modally, but he wasn't thinking in modes. He was just thinking, well, here's the chord. This is how I do it, you know. This is the notes I can play. So you have to know some music theory to do that, or you have to know what notes work with what chords, which is music theory. This guy didn't call it music theory because he didn't sit down and learn music theory, but he was learning music theory. For those of you out there that are scared of theory and you think, I'm not going to learn it, you've already learned it, okay? I promise you, if you know how to tune your guitar, if you know how to play a chord, play a scale, play anything on the guitar that might sound good, you already are indoctrinated, friend. You already know music theory. Look, music theory it just means this is why we do things, or here's how we can duplicate that. That's all it is. It's just the behind the scenes actions, okay? That's all it is. All right, so don't be scared of that. Anybody who says that, I know that they're got to be a new player and they're just all up in their head, or they're just a new player who's all up in their head. That's usually the only people that say, I don't want to know music theory. No offense, I'm just telling you, I've seen it a lot of times over the last 30, 40 years. Eric, do you suggest knowing the music of song cold before singing the lyrics? Bob, yes, indeed. In fact, I suggest both. So in that PDF, I talk about that, because if you don't know the song entirely, what is adding the lyrics going to do? If you have a truck, or if you have a camel and it's carrying lots of things, is adding something to the camel going to help or hinder the camel? It's very common sense, right? So you want to make sure that you have that song down before adding the lyrics, indeed. If I sing in a different key, do I have to play in a different key too? Yes, you definitely do. Referring specifically to Picture in a Frame by Tom Waits. Definitely, Celeste. The song that you're singing is in a certain key, and it suggests certain notes and certain chords, and it's very simple. There's 7 of them, okay, in a key. There's 7 notes. Chromatically, there's 12, but depending on the key, it depends on what 7 notes you're going to put in there, okay? This is a rule of thumb. 99% of everything abides by this rule. So if you're changing from G to A, if the chords are in G and you're moving them to A, well, then the melody needs to move to A as well. Most people know this intrinsically. So if I walk into a bar and everybody's singing happy birthday to you, I'm going to jump in happy birthday to you. I'm going to sing in whatever key this is. I don't know what key it is. Do you? I don't have perfect pitch, so I wouldn't know. But we've got great relative pitch, right? This is why when I'm talking right now, I'm not talking all up, down, and here, and down, and low, and high, and everywhere. It's like I have an understanding of pitch, right? Because we understand pitch. If you're hearing something, you're hearing pitch. So we automatically sing whatever the chords are. So if I'm singing, there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Right? If I do that, then I'm singing in the key of C. If I move it up a whole step, I heard there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Okay, I'm automatically going to switch sharps and flats and everything. I'm automatically going to be singing those, right? You do too. This is not a special skill that I have. You do this already. It's just you're not thinking about it that way. You're just like, no, I'm just singing the melody to this song. Yeah, you are. You're singing a bunch of sharps and flats too. Whether you know it or not, you are. It's just, it doesn't matter because we're thinking about music in a relative form, okay, as opposed to sharps and flats and this and that and the other thing. We can do that, but if you want to go about things a harder way, then do that. But yes, Celeste, you definitely will be wanting to sing in the same key. Okay. Great. You're in Franklin, and I'm in Brentwood. Give me that guitar. Greg, I didn't know you were in Brentwood. Cool. What up, bruh? Maybe related to Sarah. I'm originally from Nashville. Ah, there you are, Rick. All right. Well, you need to look Sarah up. She's in Franklin. She's a sweet girl. Okay. Do I have a tutorial for Hallelujah? I want to learn it now. Jerry, I do. Just on YouTube, search YourGuitarSage. Hallelujah. Okay? Love from India. Hi, honey. How are you doing, my friend? How do you identify if a key goes along with your voice? I am no singer, by the way. Suraj says, Suraj, if you can talk, you can sing. Okay? Bunch of people shaking their heads right now. I'll say it again. If you can talk, you can sing. Why? Because we are singing every single time we talk. The only reason it sounds like talking is we aren't extending the notes very long. We're not singing it in a key. We're just actually talking, okay? But we're singing in pitch all the time. This is why I go toe-to-toe with folks all the time when they say that there's a such thing as tone deafness. There's not a such thing as tone deafness because if you can hear, you're hearing tone. It's impossible to hear and not hear tone. Tone is vibration. Everything's vibrating at a certain tonation, at a certain level, right? So you have pitch, and you either don't hear pitch or you hear pitch. And if you don't hear pitch, that's called deafness. Okay, there's no tone deafness. There's people that they use that word, but it doesn't really it's not accurate. Okay. But with that being said, you are a singer. It's in you. It's all practice. I once was not a guitar player. I was once not a potty pooper. Would just go in my pants, just like, you know. And then I grew up, and I wasn't 2 years old anymore. And you did the same thing. So this is all learned stuff. I promise you, you can learn how to sing. Anyhow, with that being said, how do you identify if a key goes along with your voice? You simply sing the song. If you can hit all the notes naturally and comfortably, then you're in a key that's good for you. Okay, so if I'm singing, let's see, for instance, let's say the original song was up here, and I'm like, there was a secret chord with David played. That's already way too high, right? I sound and feel like a eunuch. So that's too high. So I'd go for something lower. I heard there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Now it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall. Now it's getting outside my range. The minor fall. I'm stressing. Okay, so it's not in my key. So I want to go down. And what you do is you find the lowest note, the highest note to the song, and if it fits in your key, that's all the permission you need to know whether that's your key or not. Okay, it's just, is it comfortable for you to sing? And I do it all the time. I'll move the capo around, or I'll change a key to a song to be right in my range, where when I hit that top note, it sings really nicely, but it's not impossible to reach. But you can hear just a little bit of stress in my voice because people love that sound. Okay. Think Adele, think Sia. Sia does this all the time. She'll just crack that voice where it's just at the top range. Actually, some of that is affected. She's doing that purposefully, but she has such control of her voice that she can hit those notes and just eke out, and it just sounds so beautiful. That's why everybody loves Sia singing, because she just sounds like she's going to blow a vocal cord any second. Okay, so that's how you find out. Where can I get the sounds of the chords? June. I'm not sure what you mean by that, June. If you could be more descriptive, that'd be great. But where can you get the sounds of the chords? By strumming the chords. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you could be more specific, that'd be great. Thank you. Any tips for playing with the thumb over the top of the neck like Hendrix and John Frusciante? Michael, I have a video specifically for that. Videos inside Unstoppable, but also on YouTube. Search YourGuitarSage thumb. Okay, but I'll give you a quick tip, Michael, so we don't spend the length of time that I do in that video there. And but what you want to do is when you're playing, you want to bring that thumb over the top of the neck and grab it with that knuckle. See, I'm not really using this part of my thumb, just using the knuckle, and then I grab the other part of the chord. In this case here, I'm playing 6-4-3-2. Make sense? Okay, cool. All right. Do you recommend any online singing teacher for lessons? Vivek. Yeah, one of the best guys I know, I actually sit next to every single morning at breakfast when I have my special place that I go to. His name's Brett Manning, and he is a fantastic vocal instructor. He's worked with Keith Urban and a bunch of other folks. But check him out, Singing Success. He's a great teacher. My fingers always go out of sync with the rhythm when practicing scales. I always tend to miss some notes or make a dead note. Any advice? Hani, that's only because you're... Now listen to this, friends, because Hani's problem right here is the problem that every guitar player has had since the beginning of time, and they still have it. You're born with it, and you will have it always. And here's what it is. It's how can I say this? Here's where you are. Here's where you want to be. Here's where you are in actuality, okay? If you're 7 years old, you're 7 years old. That's all you can be is 7 years old. Until you get to 8, then you can be 8, okay? So wherever you're at in your playing is where you're at. However much you've practiced is what you get to be today. If you practice more, then you get to be more than what you could have been, okay? So, or yeah. Does that make sense? So wherever you practice is where you're at. Hani's problem is that he wants to be here right now, but you don't get to be here right now until you've practiced to here. So you get to be here because that's how much you've practiced. Now, for some of you who love finisher medals, you know, and that sort of thing, you're probably offended by that because you're like, well, that's not fair. I should be born with this. Well, no one gets born with this. No one's born with this. It's a very, very sad world. We have to practice. We have to work at it. So what that means is, Hani, is that this is where you want to be. This is where you're at. And it's frustrating to be here. Now, here's the problem with this math, is that this thing keeps going up. And you will always be chasing it. So here's what you have to do. Is you just practice. The more you practice, the better you're going to get. Obviously, right? But not so obvious because some of these questions that are coming across here. You know, this question right here. What do I do if this is out of sync? Well, Hani, you've got to practice more. And you've got to practice specifically what it is that you're having an issue with. So practicing your strumming is not going to get you in sync with your scales, okay? You need to practice the scales. So if I want to get good at playing a particular solo in a song, I could practice all these scales and exercises all day long. But really what I should be practicing is that solo, because that solo has specific movements, everything else, timing, and it's really all about that, okay? So just practice that specific thing, okay? But we're all in this place where we're constantly, I don't know of any musician or anybody at anything, I don't care what it is, runner, soccer player, drummer, I don't know of any player that is better, let's see, how can I say this? That they're in actuality, they're better than what they want to be. I'll say it again. I've never met anybody who's great at something who is actually better at what it is that they want to be. Or that if they say, I want to be here, I'm really going for here, and then they're in actuality, they're way up here in skill. Never met that person, have you? Okay, so this is very logical. Well, that means that we're always chasing this thing. So what you do is you just practice like hell. And you don't stop. And the other thing you do is you accept where you're at today. This is a life lesson too, by the way. You accept where you're at today. If you're 100 pounds overweight, you're 100 pounds overweight. It's just what it is, okay? So you got to shave some off if you want, right? If you're 50 pounds overweight, you're 50 pounds overweight. It is what it is. So once we get beyond that and stop trying to make it something else, it just is what it is, then you work on that thing. That's great thing to have in your brain, in your heart, okay? Okay, great. All right. Sorry, sometimes this chat jumps ahead way far, and I hate that when it happens. Okay. Rod is saying, okay, if I'm looking around the room focused on other things as I'm playing the progression, how close am I to sing and play biz? Well, Rod, if you can sing, if you can play the chord progression, you're playing the chords, you're switching your chords on time, you're playing the strumming, then you sound like you really have the guitar part taken care of, okay? So now what you'd want to do is you'd want to make sure you know the lyrics to that song and everything else. And then what you want to do is this. Instead of going, I'm just going to sing the whole song all the way through here real slowly, what I suggest doing is taking a small portion of the song and going, I heard there was a secret chord. I heard there was a secret chord. I heard there was a secret chord. Right? You just repeat the same thing over and over again to where you can get it down. If you can do that, great. Add another part. I heard there was a secret chord that David played. I messed up. Okay. I added too much. Maybe I just need to slow it down. I heard there was a secret chord where David played and he pleased the Lord. Heard there was a secret chord that David played and he pleased the Lord. See, so I'll repeat that section over and over again. Once I get that, then I add another section. So you keep on adding a measure or two at the end. Okay, folks that are in my Unstoppable Guitar System know this is a great way to practice, and they do it all the time. So I'd say you're really close, Rod. That's great. Eric, why are you such a good dude? Thank you, Jeff. That's really kind. My ex-wife does not agree with you. No, that's real sweet. Thank you, Jeff. But she wouldn't agree with you. She's grumpy. Greg is saying, okay, I'm in Brentwood. Do you give singing lessons? No, I do not, Greg, but I would look up Brett Manning. He does. He's pricey. He's very pricey for one-on-one lessons, but he's got a great online program as well. Check him out, Brett Manning, BRETTMANNING, I believe. June, do you need to learn music theory? I'd love to learn music theory before I learn this. I have to know all. That's just how I operate. June. Okay, cool. Here's the deal, June. Here's what I want you to do. Start in my free course, because here's the reason why. Learning music theory before you do all this, I get what you're saying, June. You're like me. I like to know why. I'm always asking people why. Because if I don't know why, I'm not going to typically do something because I don't know the reasons why to do it. If someone says, eat this berry, it is magical, it's superpowered, I'm saying, why is it superpowered? I don't care if you're saying it's superpowered, I can throw that in front of anything. Why is it superpowered? Oh, because it gives you enzymes and it gives you this, that, and the other thing. Oh, okay, I'll eat it now. And if I get enough whys, I'll do it. So I understand your thoughts behind that, June, and I'm the same exact way. However, what I would say is it's important to learn it as you're learning, and this is exactly the way I teach inside my free course and all my courses, is that if I say to you, well, you know, a major chord is a 1-3-5 and a minor chord is a 1-flat-3-5, well, if you don't know what those chords sound like or you don't know what a 1-3-5 is, well, that's not going to help you too much. So you kind of have to get to doing some things a little bit anyhow. Here's the other part about it, June, is that it's kind of like planting a farm. You don't just grow soybeans and then a year later grow corn and then the next year grow whatever. You plant a bunch of different stuff at once so they all comes up together. Okay, in the same way, you learn some music theory while you're learning some chords, you're learning some strumming, etc., and it starts coming together right away. But yes, you do need to learn music theory in some way, some form, fashion, or another. Whether you're just stringing together some chords, which is music theory, or you're just copying somebody else's song, which they knew music theory, so through osmosis, you're learning music theory. You're learning patterns in some way. Folks out there still saying, I'm not interested in music theory. I don't want to mess up who I am. Okay, Mozart, here's the deal. You're not going to invent a new scale or a new chord, okay? There's lots of folks that say they have done that, and it's embarrassing because there's no new chords, no new scales. It's all been done, okay? So what you got to do is you got to learn some basic patterns, and when you're learning these basic patterns, you're learning music theory, okay? If it sounds like I'm being a little sarcastic, I'm trying to knock some sense into those that still think they don't need music theory. You need it, okay? You need something to base things off of. Okay? You can drive a car around all day. You don't need theory to do that. Or do you? Really, you don't need theory. You don't need to know about what a car does. Do you know which pedal to press? The right one. Okay, well, the right one's also called the accelerator, and you need to know that. You also need to know that the brake will slow you down. You need to know that steering to the right turns you right. This is all theory, okay? So you're learning theory no matter what. So embrace it. It's cool, okay? Okay, so I live in a one-bedroom apartment, pretty thin walls. In order to to be in key sometimes, I have to belt it out like Simple Man. How to practice those songs singing? Eddie, chances are there's a better key for you, Eddie. If you have to belt it out, chances are there's a better key for you. So if you're starting down here in the key of G, you can't go any further. You need to check out how I teach you how to use a capo in a different key so that you can go down in a different key, okay? This won't make sense to you until you look at that video. It's in the free course that I'm giving you today. So that's how you have to do it. You got to find the key that you're in, Eddie. Also, with some singing skills, you'll learn that belting it out, and whatever you mean by that, I know what I mean by that, but belting it out to one person may be blowing their vocal out, and another to belting it out, they may be using the right type of pressure and that sort of thing in order to get the job done. Does that make sense? All right, good. Mikhail is saying, brain farts do happen even when playing songs well practiced. The question is whether or not a teleprompter would be useful for the lyrics when performing, and if so, what's out there? Mikhail, don't use a teleprompter. Me and my wife just were talking about this. When I started performing with my wife, I should say that I should give some more information there. When I started performing music live with my wife, I would bring these charts all the time. And it was all the same chords, all the same 9 essential chords like I talk about all the time, except I was moving things around with a capo. So to me, it all meshed together. So I'm like, well, that's why I need to have a chart. And then I realized that those charts were keeping me from being out there alone, okay? I've mentioned this once already in the broadcast. I'm talking to somebody, right? You got to be out there alone to know what you're capable of. This is a life lesson as well as a guitar lesson. So if you're reliant on somebody or you're reliant on this piece of paper all the time, guess what? You're going to lean on it, just like a crutch. You walk around with that crutch all the time, you're going to lean on the crutch. If you take the crutch away, you have to do something different. You don't have the crutch anymore. Now, whether you can or not in that moment is, I don't know. But you're not going to know until you take the crutch away. Now, all of a sudden, you've got to use your resources to figure out another way, don't you? So, Mikhail, don't use a teleprompter because you will always have to rely on it, okay? Doesn't mean that you're going to mess something up. Doesn't mean that you're going to forget something. But if you rely on it, you're going to have to rely on it. How do you get past hearing yourself and hating it? I see tech. How do you get past hearing yourself and hating it? Well, you could use earplugs, but that probably isn't going to get the job done, what you're trying to do. If you're talking about guitar playing, this is all about practice. Give yourself some grace and understand. I mean, if your child had a hard time walking in the beginning, would you have just well, guess what? We all had a hard time walking in the beginning, didn't we? It took at least dozens of times, probably hundreds of times before we finally got it. Would we give up on our child? Or isn't it great that our parents didn't give up on us when it came to walking and talking and using the potty, right? So give some grace to yourself. Allow some grace and just be like, hey man, I'm as good as where I'm at today because I've only practiced so much, okay? That's where we all are. Eric Clapton is only as good as how much he's practiced today. Now, you have an opinion of Eric Clapton and how well he can play, but Eric Clapton doesn't play as well as he'd like to. Neither does Eddie Van Halen or any other player. They're just like us. They want to be better, and they're trying to balance life and family and bills and everything else with doing what it is that they love, okay? So just practice more. Truly. Any other information would be a lie. It just really is. It's practice. Ben is saying, for finger picking, is it better to learn chords, strumming, or learn finger rolls on 1 or 2 chords? Ben, you got to do both. So separating it. You got to know the chords. You got to learn how to go from back back and forth from each chord. And if you're trying to do finger picking, strumming it isn't going to help you. You got to do finger picking. But do your rolls, do all that stuff on one chord, then bring in another chord. And if it's too quick, then do those chords for longer. So 4 measures instead of 2, 2 measures instead of 1, etc. Does that make sense? Okay. Do I have any info on increasing your vocal range? Steven's saying, yes, Steven. Practice. Truly, it's all about practice. It's just like playing, okay? So I was showing you that song that I was working on last night. And of course, just like you, just like everybody, you try to push yourself. And you say, I'm going to go faster. And then you mess up, right? Because you're only as good as how much you've practiced. I don't care what speed it is. If you're playing your scales at 120 beats per minute or 240 beats per minute. Whatever it is where you're at. And if you practice more, you'd get better. So increasing your vocal range is just like playing guitar. And part of increasing your vocal range is getting comfortable with the techniques. So like if you're just belting it out, that's all that you think that you have to offer because of how much you've practiced. But as you practice more, you'll start realizing little nuances and things that one can do with their voice that doesn't require as much straining. And you'll find that your vocal range will increase, okay? But, Stephen, that's like teaching you, that's like if you asked me how to be a surgeon, I said, well, you just cut right here. Okay, well, that's true. You do. You just cut right there. But how deep you cut and how long you cut, and is that knife disinfected, and are you wearing gloves, and are you a surgeon? All those things are also important, right? So I can tell you a brief, and a lot of these answers that I'm giving, they're very brief, right? Because for us to really drill down, we're going to have to watch the full video, which 9 times out of 10, I have a full video for you, and it's usually in the free course. Not one on vocal range, but similarly, Stephen, I would suggest watching some vocal coaches, getting a course and that sort of thing. It's really, really important. Okay. Kieran is saying, if you sing like in A, would you try to do all your songs in an A? No. Here's why, Kieran. So a lot of people who don't understand this part that I'm about to tell you here believe that. So I've heard my mom say this all the time. She'll say, I wish they would play that. I wish they would play more songs in my key. Well, it doesn't work quite like that, and here's why. A song that's in the key of C, I could be singing down here. I heard there was a secret chord. That's in my range, but this is not in my range. I heard there was a secret chord. Well, if that's the melody to the song, this is not in my range. I'm going to have to do something with it, okay? So it depends on what the melody of the song is. If the melody of the song goes beyond a note that you can hit, then you're going to have to do something differently. So that it can be in your key, or what was your key for a particular song, but not for another song, okay? So think about it like this. Here's another way to think about it. If Hallelujah has a range of right here. Let's say it's from your lowest note to your highest note, okay? And then we sing another song. We sing, I don't care what it is, Happy Birthday, right? And let's say now the vocal range for that is this, but it's also in the same key. But the lowest note goes down here and the highest note goes up here. Well, your low note's going to be fine, but your high note's going to be tough. So no. Not all chords will be in, not all songs will be in that specific key. Cool? All right, Jerry, thank you so much for sharing the link to the Hallelujah tutorial. By the way, that's the song that I keep referring back to right here, okay? Okay. Sorry, the message here just flew way past. I can't keep up with it. So if you left a message, just leave another question if I missed it. Okay. Do vets have to be at the live broadcast to sign up for the free, or can we watch the recording to sign up? Subskip. I think you'll be able to watch the recording to sign up. We're gonna have something there for you. Okay. Indeed. But stick around for that. That's this weekend on the 3rd, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, my friends. If you're a veteran, if you are a U.S. veteran, U.S. soldier, military, what have you, I have something very special for you this Saturday. So check back. I'm saying something very special. Okay. Is there anything to learn? What's that word? But changing. Oh, changing between chords faster. Is there anything to learn changing between chords faster, Sandro? Listen, my friends. There's a message in this question here. Is there anything to learning changing chords faster, between changing chords faster? Can you answer that question out there yourselves? Okay? I hear some of you saying, you change chords. That's what you do. And other people are like, I don't know, give us an exercise. No. Whatever it is that you're trying to do that. Try to do that. This is everything the way that I teach is this. Figure out what it is that you're trying to do. Let's say it's this, it's in here, and look at it. Look at it very closely. Look at it from all angles. Slow it down. Break it into pieces so you can examine it and go, oh, there's the thing I'm messing up on. Okay? So Sandro, the only way to practice, or the only way to get good at changing between chords is to practice changing between chords. That is your exercise. Which chords, Eric? Which chords you having a problem with, Sandro? Those are the chords you want to practice. So if you're having a problem going from C to F, practice going from C to F. And don't try to do it fast. Try to do it accurately. Because accurately you can do right now. Fast is always going to be faster than what you think it is. So it's just going to piss you off. So do accurate. And accuracy will birth speed. It does every time. Can't get away from it. Okay? What scales would you recommend for an intermediate player who can't seem to do anything with them? Anthony, you need to watch the Minimalistic Blues video I have. The introduction for that's on YouTube. Just search Minimalistic Blues, and I'll show you how to do this. Otherwise, the whole Inside the Unstoppable Guitar System, you can get in there and check that out. Okay? And I think we may have a link for that. We've got a new link because we're not doing the dollar bit anymore. Oh, but Eric, I wanted to do that. But can you keep it open still? No. This is why I left it open for a long, long, long time. So, like, things change. So when I tell you to act on something, I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to get you there as quickly as possible. All right? So what scales would I recommend? The major scale, need to know that one from music theory. And the pentatonic scale is a really helpful one. The pentatonic / blues scale, because you're going to use those a lot. Okay? And I have videos for all that stuff. Search YourGuitarSage Blues, YourGuitarSage Pentatonic. I'll help you out with that. Okay? All right. Good stuff. Good questions. Yeah, Brian. Proud Navy vet. All right, brother. Well, join us on Saturday. Okay. I also play the banjo not well and always revert to thumb and 2 fingers for rolls on guitar. Should I force myself to use thumb and 3 fingers, or will it not hold me back using what I already know? Ben, chances are it's not going to hold you back. Now, there are some things where you may need to bring in that 3rd finger, but 99% of the time, maybe not 99% of the time, but probably about 95% of the time, you can just use thumb 1st and 2nd. But there are some things where you're going to bring in that ring finger. What I suggest is, Ben, if you're really hell-bent on just using those first 3, like banjo players, then just bring in the ring finger when you need it. That's how it's not going to mess you up. So you can stick with what you're trying to do. But should you need to play 4 notes at once, Ben, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to bring in that ring finger. Okay? So in that way, yeah, it will hold you back. Otherwise, just do 1, 2, 3. Or thumb 1st, 2nd, and use that ring finger when you should need it, okay? Eddie, yeah, belting it out, getting real loud with it. Yeah, I know what you mean by that, Eddie. So, yeah, it's probably not in your key. You probably can find another key that will help. With that being said, sometimes you just got to belt it out. I know what you're talking about there. Okay, I can sing do, re, mi forwards and backwards. Nice, Denny. Okay. All right, we got Army vet. Nice. All right. Army, Navy, sweet. Okay, sweet, sweet, sweet. Wow, I've never heard of that. Someone in the Army and the Navy. I've never heard of that. That's so cool. How is the A minor and C major the same pentatonic scale? Celeste. Okay, let's talk about this. Again, with an analogy, I find that when you know something and you can relate it to something else, it makes it so much easier. So let's talk about it. This never happens, but let's say someone was talking about something political on Facebook. I know, I'm just hypothetically saying. One person's talking about something politically on Facebook, and then here comes somebody else. Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, right? And they're right? And they're talking about the same subject, the same exact subject, but this person knows they're right, and this person knows they're right. And it's the way that they're using their words that determines what their stance is on the same exact issue. Whatever it is, whatever that issue is. We won't mention any of them. Dear God, wouldn't want to turn the chat into a hotbed of bitchy people, right? We don't want to do that. We're just here to play guitar and be cool, right? So we don't want to do that. So, but nonetheless, you've got two people talking about the same thing, but they're talking about it in different ways. That's how the A minor and the C major can be the same. Check this out. The C major scale is all the notes, A, B, C, A through G, no sharps or flats. Actually, we play it C through C. So we play C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And then if we want to end it, we end it on the C. If we want to play A minor, we play A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. We want to finish it, okay? So we take those two sets of notes, A through G, no sharps or flats, A through G, no sharps or flats, and we put them together, they're the same notes, okay? But depending on how we play them is going to determine how it should feel. So if I do this, if I go... Well, that sounds very A, okay? But if I play, well, now it's in the key of, now I'm playing this in the key of C, and just the way that I phrase that, okay, just like two people talking where they don't agree, or they're talking about the same thing, but yet the way that they're saying it and doing it determines what the key is, okay? Does that help? If not, Celeste, and that's a great question, by the way, and I cover that in more detail on YouTube, obviously inside my courses, relative, major, and minor. That's what you want to look for, relative, major, and minor. I can't sing without a guitar. My voice is terrible. Sounds like my cat when I suck it up in a vacuum cleaner. What can I do? John, just like anything, you can work on your voice. And chances are, your voice is not nearly as bad as you think it is. You got to think about this like this, John. You got you singing your voice. And then you got this other guy who's kind of an a-hole, who's judging you and judging your voice. Now that's you. That's part of you, right? There's got this guy who's just saying, you suck, you suck, you suck. How good are you going to do if you got someone telling you you suck all the time? So here's the first thing you got to do, John, is you got to say, I sing the way that I sing. This is my voice. It's what I was born with, you know, and how much I've practiced. That's where you got to start. Same thing with your playing. You are where you are. Why would we judge ourselves? We didn't decide to be when we were born or where we were born, right? So, we got to stop judging ourselves for things that are outside of our control. So, yes, you were born with the voice that you were born with, okay? But we can get good at that by practicing, okay? And it's much simpler to say, just practice. Much harder to do, to take the time and the energy and the discipline to practice years, right? So you definitely can get better at it, John. Check out there's numerous courses online and videos on YouTube and stuff. So if you really want to get better at it, that's what you want to do. Okay, but stop judging yourself, because you got to allow yourself to grow, and it's going to be really hard to do that if you just are telling yourself you suck. So if you really do, it sounds like part of you wants to get better at singing. So that's good. That's good news. That's the hope. The bad news is that you got to squelch this other voice in you right now that's saying that you sound terrible, right? So if I don't say I sound terrible. I sound like I sound. And if I want to be better at it, I'm going to need to practice at it. Otherwise, I have the voice that I've been born with, plus some practice that I've done over the years. Okay. Robert's saying, when I hear myself being played back on tape, it sounds nothing like what I think it sounds like. Why is that, Robert? Here's why. It's because usually when we're playing, or we're playing guitar, we're singing, we're in that moment, you know, and there's something, I guess, about the ego or something that thinks that it sounds better than it actually does. Then when we listen back to it, we go, dear God, I need to work on some things, okay? And it's not just you. Everybody says this. When I record myself, I'm like, oh, it's really not very good. Or if I watch myself back on video, I'm like, dear God, you got to find more time to practice, man. Like, stop teaching as much and do some more practice, or stop sleeping as much or something. So that's really what it's about. Now, as far as singing, it's even more so like that, because if you hum right now, that's all happening inside of your cranial skull. It's happening inside of this room in here. Literally, your skull is vibrating. The reason that you sound like the way that you sound is because the way your head is shaped and how much flesh you got on your cranium, and a bazillion other things that determine your vocal cords, your teeth, everything. All that determines the sound that's coming out of your mouth, that you are the instrument, okay? So when we're singing, what's happening is we're hearing a lot sympathetic vibrations. So like by hum, that's like my jawbone and my muscles and the goo inside of my head, my brain, everything's vibrating a little bit. And so because of that, your ear works on vibration, so it's hearing things differently than coming back out of the speakers. So you have to compensate for that. That's why you'll see some people, they'll take their finger and they'll press it into their ear so that they can hear themselves better. And what they're doing is they're taking that little flap of their ear and they're pressing it in so that they're not hearing out of that ear. What they're hearing is just the vibration. They're not, or sometimes what you can do is you can kind of cup your hand, and that allows you to hear yourself even more of the other voice. So the voice that you should be hearing, or that's coming across on tape, is this coming out of my mouth. Otherwise, I'm hearing more vibration, okay? Why do people say hide behind distortion? Joe, I've never heard people say that, but I understand the concept of what you may be talking about there, and it sounds like somebody, whoever said that, is probably having a little bit of an ego moment there, because distortion is overdrive. It's just another effect that one can use for different sounds. So, you know, if you were to hear Eruption, the song Eruption, played with not a lot of overdrive, you know, it's going to sound, you're going to be like... You know, it's not going to sound the same as if you... It's just going to sound different, right? So thank the good Lord for distortion. It's important. It's a tool. So, but I think the reason behind maybe somebody saying that is that you know, it does tend to smash the sound a little bit, and you might be able to get away with not playing as well. But I wouldn't say that as a rule, because the distortion is going to make you louder and more present as well. So does that make sense? There's no hiding behind distortion. You could put distortion in front of a terrible player, and I'm going to tell you it's a terrible player, or they haven't practiced much or whatever, you know. Same thing with playing clean. Playing clean doesn't... But I get it. I get what they're saying. Are there any finger stretches you do before playing? Juan is saying. Juan, no, not really. I just jump into it right away, honestly, because to me, I only have so much time to play, and I typically have something I want to play right away. My exercises are going to be a lot like whatever it is that I'm trying to practice, but it'd be better if I practice that specific thing if I want to get good at that thing. Does that make sense? Great question. When I try, so Suraj is saying, when I try to play fingerstyle, the guitar sounds much lower than what I want and try to make it sound higher than the sounds like it is forced. Any solution to that? Suraj, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I think what you probably mean by the guitar sounds darker. That's probably what you mean by lower, because whether you're strumming or finger picking, the pitch is all going to be the same. But the difference between this sound, a bright sound, and a dark sound, right? That's probably what you're talking about. And so if you grew some nails out on your fingers, you're going to have a brighter sound, or if you use finger picks or something like that, you're going to get that brighter sound. Jerry is saying, when should I expect that telly to arrive at my house? Jerry, let's see, it's Saturday. We're giving it away on Saturday, so it'll probably, we'll probably have it out to someone's house by Friday. So, yeah. Celeste is saying your skull amplifies the bass notes, which is true. In fact, if you do this, close both of your ears and start talking, you're going to hear what I'm talking about. You're going to hear more of it sounds like the sound is in your head, because it is, and it's more bass oriented because you're cutting out a lot of the brights, okay? That's what carries. When you, and this is why, when you plug your ears, when you put earplugs in it, it takes out a lot of the brights or a lot of the high notes, because those notes aren't felt as much as low notes are. So someone could be piercing a dog whistle at a very high decibel right into your ear, and you may not perceive it because you're not feeling it. And if your ear can't hear that range, it may not do anything because it just can't hear it. But a very low rumble, like an explosion or a cannon going off or something, you're going to actually feel the air. And that's what's happening when you do this. You're not feeling the air so much, but you're feeling the vibration of your skull and everything vibrating, okay? Perfect time, perfect day to talk about skulls. Okay. Hey Eric, you say that the free trial for $1 UGS is over, but there's still links up. One, this site, and on Facebook. Okay, that may be so, 52K log, but literally it's going away. So it may be up there right now, but we literally, as a team, we've talked about it. It's going away. So if it's up there and you want to take advantage of it, friends, because it's literally going away. So if you want to take advantage of the $1 offer, basically you get to test drive the whole enchilada for $1. I would take advantage of it today because it's gone. That's why we don't even have it in the ebook today. So it's going away. Thanks for letting me know about that, though, 52K log. I appreciate that. Are there any tools to tune your voice or see how on pitch you are, like a guitar tuner for your voice? Daniel, there are. They're called vocal tuners, and typically it's a piece of software. And or if you can sing straight into your tuner, you'd see the same thing. But Daniel, don't worry about that, because here's the deal. It's just a distraction. You know whether you're singing on pitch or not. And if you need help, ask somebody else to listen to you. They'll definitely tell you whether you're singing on pitch or not. Give yourself grace, but at the same time, don't let yourself off the hook. If you're singing out of pitch, fix it. If you're singing flat, sing sharper. If you're singing sharp, sing flatter. Listen to the pitch. Here, you can do it like this. Now, if I end up singing off pitch, you're going to hear it. You can hear this rubbing of the notes, whoa, 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 like that. So fix that. Don't do that, okay? That's what I would suggest doing instead of getting a tuner for that. Sometimes when playing a live gig, I wear a monitor earpiece. Should I do this or have a speaker monitor? But online, I've heard great things about in-ear monitors. I've used them before, and I hear nothing but great things from them. I mean, especially the real pro ones. But I used to use in-ear monitors for shows, and I love them. So, no, not necessarily, you know, especially if you can mix it yourself. Yeah, people like you hide behind distortion. You suck, etc. I don't get it. Joe might be that person who said that, the hiding behind distortion. So, you know, Joe, there's certain genres that require that. You know what I'm saying? And I know, chances are, I know some amazing guitar players that play with distortion that play way better than folks that play with that play without distortion. I mean, to say that I'm sure Joe is joking, because that would be a ridiculous thing to think about. It would be a really ridiculous thing to say that, well, just because you own a distortion pedal, then you suck, or because you don't own a distortion pedal, then you're good, right? I know that's not what Joe's saying, right, Joe? Please tell me that's not what you're saying. Not guitar related, but you are strictly vegan? I'm interested in trying it. Karen, yes. I have had a piece of fish every now and then, but really I try to be as strictly vegan as possible, just for me, because for several reasons. And but yes. But Karen, do your research, because this is what happens with a lot of vegans, is they go and they just start eating a bunch of pasta and beans and everything else, and that's not necessarily healthy. Okay, so if you're replacing that with lots of healthy vegetables and some fruit and oil, like good oil and stuff like that, then yeah, indeed. Okay. Is this giveaway international? Yes. A couple guitars ago, we gave one away to someone in England, but obviously, you know, we're giving 15 of the lifetime membership away, and those are electronic, so those are easy to do, right? Subskip, amp guitar volume settings. Is it better to have the guitar volume at 10 and then adjust the amp volume to suit the level where you want to hear? Subskip. Here's how I think about this, Subskip, is I put the amp where I want it, and I put my guitar on 10, okay? And if I want the guitar to sound differently, then I back off the volume, you know, to make it sound more chill, right? Because I can have this sound. Uh-oh, Joe's getting offended right now because I'm playing with distortion. I'm hiding. And then I could turn the volume down and just go. Okay. So I'll use the volume to get the different sounds that I want from the guitar. And then, you know, if you have a song that needs more volume, then you can always turn it up. But turning the volume down on your guitar is really going to change the tone of the guitar a lot, you know. Is it better to practice with mechanical or electronic metronome? It's the same. I mean, I say it's the same. It's pretty much the same. I'd say the electronic maybe slightly more accurate, but probably not. It's probably very, very close to the same. I've used both for years. Want to take singing lessons? ? Karaoke is free. So what is head voice and chest voice? June is saying. So chest voice is like, right now I'm speaking in chest voice, okay? I'm speaking, chest voice is when you can go all the way down here, and it's very guttural and big sounding. It's the voice that you typically will speak in. Where head voice is up here, it sounds like Mickey, right? And when you're singing, you're like, staying alive, right? That's all, head voice, chest voice is down here. All right, so that's what we mean. That's the difference. It's also called the falsetto. Falsetto is the one that's high up. And so you can know it. You know when you're getting into it, just sing a note, sing it real low and go up and go, ooh. You'll hear like a little yodel there. Some people can actually make it to where there's no seam there, but most of the time, if you haven't been working on that, you'll hear a ooh. And if you hear that little flip, It's called a flip. People also call it that, a head voice or a flip or a falsetto. Then you know you're in that, okay? And then there's something called a mix, and this is where guys like Brett Manning and people who are really good at teaching voice can teach you how to have what's called a mix, and it's like a chest, but it's like this falsetto, but it's this strong falsetto, but yet it's this really high chest voice, and it's called a mix, and it's really cool. So yeah. Is it free? Is what free, Celeste? You'll have to let me know. Okay. Oh, Alila, thank you so much. So kind of you, my friend. Denny, Soraj. Does moving a capo up always raise the pitch you have to sing at? Kind of. Let's talk about that, okay? We're going to show that, Jerry. Thank you so much for posting that link of the Swift scales. That must be some sort of application that Jerry is saying is good maybe for singing. Is that right? Okay, yeah, oh, Celeste was asking, is that free? Okay, gotcha. Okay, so here's how it works when the capo, with the capo. So typically when we're capoing up, yes, it changes the key up, but remember we have octaves, right? My wife laughs because I sing like this all the time. Is if something's out of my range, I just drop down an octave and sing the same melody, and she laughs all the time. But it's kind of like this. We go, happy birthday to you, and we go up, you know, we go, happy birthday to you, birthday to you. We keep going, right? Happy birthday to you. Let's say we keep going. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday. Let's say it starts getting out of my range, right? Happy birthday, dear Lighthouse. Well, that's Lighthouse is who asked this question, by the way. Let's say I go up further. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear light. Let's say I can't hit it, right? Well, then I can go, happy birthday to you. I can drop an octave, okay? So that's the caveat to it would change there where we're dropping the pitch. But usually moving up the capo is going to pitch you up, okay? With the exception of if you drop down an octave, okay? Okay. Celeste, I feel like this is a stupid question, but if I practice mainly on an acoustic, will I not be as good as what I'm practicing when I play it on the electric and vice versa? Yes. And a short answer is yes, Celeste, and here's why. When you're driving, let's say you are driving a Porsche. That Porsche is going to respond a certain way around the corners and everything, right? Well, your brain is getting accustomed to the feedback that you're getting from the wheel and everything else, okay? And it's going to compensate. Okay, we're driving the Porsche. Then when you go to do it on a 4x4 or a sedan or something, it's going to respond differently. So you're going to respond differently. That's not what I expected. So yes, technically, it's going to be different. Now, it may feel easier because the acoustic is harder to press the strings down than when you go to the electric, it's easier. But ultimately, if you're really trying to practice something, practice on whatever instrument it is that you want to get good at. Does that make sense? With that being said, I was sitting there with my acoustic the other day playing that riff, that electric riff, just because I didn't want to get up and get my electric. But ultimately, I'm going to polish it with playing the electric, okay? Do strats sound better a half step down? I've heard it's better than standard. Juan, most guitars sound better a half step down. They just sound, and when I say better, it's just different, but it's like this, to me, it's a slightly bigger sound. I think that's possibly why it's always so popular. So it's just a bigger, better sound. I don't know if it's better. It's bigger. Okay, great. Are there plus and minuses to different types of capos? Yeah, Daniel, when I talk about that, I think I talk about that in the free course. There's different types of capos. There's the old clamp type, old clamp type, and then there's types that are adjustable that have like a knob on it that will allow you to adjust the how much pressure you're putting down on the strings, okay? All right, friends, I'm going to jump over to Facebook really quickly, make sure there's no last questions here. that I may need to get to, and then we're going to call it for today because we're going to talk about this more tomorrow, okay? But I want to make sure that I get to everybody. Okay. Sue, any downloads being given away today? Yes, Sue. In the description of this video, you're going to find the PDF. Okay. Nice. Ken got his animals spayed. Good. Thank you so much, buddy. That's what to do. Keep those guys from having babies. My dog howls when I sing. Is that good or bad? It's probably good. You're talking to him. All right, my friends, that's it. That's all we're doing today because these are normally supposed to be an hour long now, and I just can't seem to get out of that. I'm so programmed to do these for like 2 hours. And here we are almost at 2 hours. So friends, thank you so much for watching today. Do not forget to share this. Share, because that's what they taught us when we were children. It's good, right? Do you like when people share? I like when they share. So share this right now. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, any of those for your chance to win a lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System. We'll do this tomorrow as well. So please, the more you do it, the more chances are that you have to win. So do it on all platforms. So that's number one. Number two, make sure you download that PDF. It's in the description of it's in the actual PDF today. Okay. Someone mentioned the dollar bit. That is going away. But yeah, if you can find the link somewhere online, you want to go to that, you can take advantage of that. But it's going away. Free course is available. YourGuitarSage.com/30. Make sure you go there. Sign up, friends, right now. The link is in the PDF, or go to YourGuitarSage.com/live. You can see the link right there. If you click on that, that won't do anything. But go there, okay, and sign up for the live broadcast that we'll be doing this Saturday, where I'll teach you how to develop the fundamentals for any genre of guitar, whether you're a brand new player or you've been playing for a long time, okay? And we'll be giving away over $6,000 worth of goodies. Ooh, what? Yeah. Including this beautiful American-made Fender Telecaster. Friends, if you're going to trick-or-treat tonight, please be careful and have a blast. And I will see you tomorrow for this part 2. All right? I'm out of here. See ya.